Conventionally, elections are considered a country's internal affair. But this notion is changing at fast pace, especially in Latin America, where political ideologies are guiding bilateral ties. President Donald Trump's policy of openly backing right-wing parties has added a new political dimension in elections across Latin America. The latest case in point is in Brazil, where President Lula da Silva and former President Bolsonaro's son are locked in feisty electoral contest. With over 2 months to go before election day, a diplomatic row has erupted between Brazil, Argentina and the United States. Washington has revoked the visa of Brazil's ambassador. In fact, according to reports, Trump even wants Brazil to approve his nominee to be the next US ambassador to Brasilia. But the country's president, Lula da Silva, has refused to buy this argument. In a statement, Lula da Silva said that the decision is motivated by nothing but ideological reasons and called it a deliberate escalation of hostile measures against Brazil. The latest escalation comes after Brazil denied visas for 2 US officials who sought to meet with election authorities as well. Reports do suggest that the risk of political exploitation could have been the very reason behind denial of visas. However, US State Department has said that officials wanted to visit Brasilia to discuss, and I quote, election integrity, religious freedom, and freedom of expression, unquote. The Trump administration maintains cordial ties with Bolsonaro's right-wing political party when a Brazilian court sentenced him for leading a coup plot after his 2022 election defeat. Washington called it a witch hunt and imposed additional tariffs. Now, a similar situation is unfolding between Brazil and Argentina. Brasilia has asked the Argentinian ambassador to leave the country and has even downgraded its mission in Argentina to the level of charge d'affaires. The diplomatic row follows a series of remarks that were made by the Argentinian president. During an interview, Javier Milei launched a no-holds-barred attack on Lula da Silva, calling him a convicted thief and a corrupt individual. Notably, Lula did spend 580 days in jail starting from April 2018, but his conviction was later overturned on procedural grounds. Javier Milei made similar remarks during a speech in Brazil, where he was attending an event that was hosted by Lula's rival candidate, Flavio Bolsonaro. Milei has endorsed Flavio along with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. In fact, despite global endorsements, Flavio Bolsonaro's electoral prospects are not looking that bright. According to the latest assessment that's been made by the Quest poll, Lula is leading Brazil's presidential race with 39% votes. Flavio is trailing on the second position with 30%, who has very little time left to bridge the gap. The first presidential debate is scheduled for 16th of August, when Flavio Bolsonaro and Lula da Silva will come face to face. The second debate will take place a month later, which is on 14th of September. The presidential elections are scheduled on 4th of October, and if no candidate wins the race, that is an outright majority, front-runners will clash in the runoff election that is to take place on 25th of October. The victorious candidate will then take oath as Brazil's president on 5th of January. The country's race to power is shaped by geopolitical pressure, domestic issues, and ideological differences. Flavio Bolsonaro is afraid to carry forward his father's legacy, and Lula da Silva is hoping for a victory amid pressure from Argentina as well as the US. With this, the stage is set for a high-octane political and diplomatic showdown in and around Brazil's presidential race.